Welcome back to the 10th annual Halloween special. I'm having a great time talking about a lot of films with you guys this October, and I hope you are too, because this film is not exactly what I would call a great time. Bedevilled hails from South Korea and is about a woman who is subject to a considerable amount of abuse while living on an island with a bunch of people who are supposed to be looking out for her but certainly aren't. When a friend of hers visits from the city, she sees her as a way out of this island, a potential savior from all of the horrific things that she endures. But when things get even worse, she finally reaches her breaking point. Revenge movies have been around forever. It's very tough, though, to find one that really makes you feel cathartic. Most American revenge films feature the hero finding the bad guy near the end of the film and maybe shooting him like one time, and you're like, okay, I guess that's the end of the movie. You don't really feel what you want to feel. Some revenge films are fantastic at it, others are not so great. Some of the best you'll ever find are in Korean cinema. And while Bedevilled doesn't quite reach the heights of I Saw the Devil, I still found myself enthralled during the second half of this movie. The first half is very difficult to watch. You will see things that you don't want to see. And that's why so many revenge movies are much better when they're not made in America, because they just don't seem to care about some of the stuff that we care about. They're not as concerned about everything has to happen within 10 to 15 minutes. Like, you're 35, 40 minutes into this movie before you really start to figure out what the film is actually going to be about. The character we meet at the beginning of the movie and spend the next 15 to 20 minutes following isn't even our main protagonist. The structure is so unconventional that it can be jarring initially, but as soon as you begin to see what's going on and you start to feel your blood boiling as you watch this woman deal with atrocity after atrocity, you're left wanting to see nothing but bloody carnage, and this movie absolutely delivers on that. During the first half of this movie, I found myself talking back to the screen. This is not something that happens a lot for me, especially when I'm watching it alone, but I was yelling at some of these characters. And my wife eventually came in about halfway through, and when she sat down, I said, "Fair warning, honey, this movie is fucked up." And I told her that I honestly think the Islanders in this film are like top 10 most despicable people I've ever witnessed in a movie. Like, they are truly awful in every way imaginable. And the film came out in 2010. A film like this being released today would be even more shocking for its extreme misogyny and violence towards women and children, but that's what makes the movie so much more satisfying when this woman has finally had enough. Because nowadays, when we get a revenge film, usually the characters are justified in their anger, and there's a reason the film exists, and you understand why everyone's pissed and why certain people should probably be killed in the film's narrative, and all of that makes sense. But when you compare what some of the characters are suffering in modern day revenge movies with what the woman goes through in Bedevilled, it's like nothing. This woman faces every possible atrocity that could ever happen to someone, and it will make you so angry, but it does deliver. I will say that. Halfway through the movie, because I had never seen it before, I turned to my wife and I was like, "Honey, I'm definitely talking about this movie, but I have to say, if it ends in a way that makes me even angrier, I'm not going to discuss it." But the film had a way of really impacting me and genuinely breaking my heart in the end. But in a good way. It's very difficult to describe without getting into spoilers. I will not, but sometimes a movie can truly rip your heart right out of your chest and you like the experience. It's very hard to do. It's almost impossible for a filmmaker to pull that off because usually it just comes off manipulative. This movie doesn't. It is a horror movie through and through, despite having a lot of drama and a lot of setup. Sometimes during that setup, you wonder exactly what this film is trying to be. Just stick through to the end. As soon as you see the final shot, everything makes sense. There's also a very unexpected laugh in the final 5 minutes of this movie that had me on the floor. I was dying laughing, like choking back tears laughing. It was so funny for some reason. I don't know why. If you've seen the movie, it involves the old man on the island, and I just found it so fucking funny. Bedevilled is not for the faint of heart. It is a very difficult film to watch, especially if you've dealt with any kind of abuse or trauma in your life, so that's a fair warning to you. But I do think it is very good and not talked about as much as it should be. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch the 10th annual Halloween special. Look forward to more videos very soon, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized.